Could you tell when Chappelle was young that he would turn into the mature, funny comic that he is today? You can't. He wasn't fully realized at 17.
He wasn't fully realized, but he was brilliant. He had like whole bits that were already genius.
At
as
17,
a teenager. Yeah,
you could tell that he'd become something.
I mean, it's not like I knew he'd be who, but I'm not surprised.
Are there comics that you met when you were young that you said, this person is going to be like a comet, like a lightning bolt in comedy, and then they kind of don't go anywhere?
Oh, yeah, lots.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
Like I knew guys in radio who were really good, and then you just never heard from them again.
There are people that I try to explain to people, no, you don't understand. Everyone worshipped him. He was the king, And
What goes wrong? Are some people just not likable?
No, it's not that. I think it's so many comics are their own worst enemies.
How so?
You know that. I
No,
mean,
well, what do you mean?
must.
In other words, they drink too much or do too many drugs?
All sorts of things. Just a fear of failure, so they don't try, so they sabotage themselves, drink or get high before. They don't go for their fullest potential because that risks too much or
Don't
something.
you think,
I don't know.
Like, wouldn't it be a great comedy special if it was Sarah Silverman presents guys she knows who should be famous but never became famous? I would watch that.
Oh my God.
Do we
yeah.
like that idea?
I do, but it's like a lot of them, they're not, it's because they haven't written a joke since 1989.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You mean some people give up to the point where they have a great act and then they lose their motivation and they just ride out that act the
Yeah,
rest
it's
of
like
their career?
there has to be, it's like, how it's incredible when somebody is a great musician, songwriter, and they can sing.
Yes.
It's like insane to have all three of those things. It's
Right.
a trifecta.
Right.
And it's like with comics, it's like you have to love doing what you do and actually do it.
You're so
You know
right.
what I mean? Like you can't just like be lazy. That skates by for when you're naturally funny, you can be lazy at first, but eventually you got to get your shit together and work. It's,
You think they have lack motivation or something? There's some people who work
I think
so
it's
hard.
fear.
When you read Steve Martin's book, and who is naturally funny,
Oh my God.
right? But when you read that book, you see how hard he worked at it. That's what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
And he is as easily as funny right now as he ever was.
Yeah. I mean, naturally funny. When I talk to him, I go, that's so funny. Why doesn't he just, write that down or something?
I can tell you, I had I witnessed Steve Martin in the brilliance moment. This is very name droppy, but because we did one of those AFI honors, we did it for Steve Martin. I did
Right.
that. And then also for Diane Keaton. So afterwards, we all went to Steve's house, just a few people, very intimate. I mean, I was like dying,
Right. It's a special moment. You go, I've arrived.
Oh, and Candace Bergen was there and Diane Keaton, who is like
Fabulous actress.
Oh, God, amazing.
Right.
Nancy Myers, and then, of course, Martin Short and Steve Martin. Anyway, Martin Short kind of becomes like the host and asks questions to get conversation started. And he said, Candace, when did you first meet Steve? And Candace goes, I remember I was hanging out with Lorne and Paul, and Steve didn't know what prosciutto was. And then Steve right then goes, can you believe it? And now I drive one. And I was like, wow! I made it to go embedded in my head so I'd never forget.